Hi, my name's Steve Pope, and I'm here with Megan Wagner today to discuss a little bit about our courses that we run together, and you'll find different videos of that on these pages. I just wanted to say a little bit about Megan, who is a soul companion, and we've known each other for some 30 years now, and we've started off back in London, studying together in the Kabbalah school there, which was run by Halevi, who's written many books on Kabbalah. And we continue to work with people from that group. And Megan and I decided that we would collaborate on running some Hebraic Kabbalah courses and bringing out not just Hebraic Kabbalah, but also a deeper understanding of the value and we hope the simplicity of entering into a communion with the Hebrew Aleph Bet. So Megan is a wonderful writer and teacher who has so many talents as an artist, designing these wonderful, beautiful robes which actually come through her. And the books that she's written on Kabbalah and the Tree of Life are both her works are worth reading if you're new to Kabbalah or if you're a seasoned practitioner. We have both shared a kind of similar background in that we both went to theological college, as it was called in England, I think seminary in America.
Yeah.
And that's been an important part of our education, and I think feel more than anything, our understanding. So for me, as I've said, the simplicity with which Megan brings to what's often very thought of as very complex and difficult. Often people have said to me, Kabbalah is too difficult to study, or they find it off-putting. So what Megan does is bring a very artistic and beautiful, visual, experiential, and very grounded in the body, grounded in creativity and sexual awakening as well, all of which are extremely important parts of Kabbalah.
Great. Thanks, Steve. Wonderful introduction. Well, I have so enjoyed collaborating with you. And I think, after I went to seminary, I trained as a psychotherapist. And one of my emphasis is on clearing away the distortions that people have psychologically so that we can be more free to actually experience spiritual truths. And what I've so appreciated about your work is that you're very focused and aware of the kind of psychological distortions that we get into. And your teaching, for me, has been wonderful in focusing on some very practical tools of how to move out of psychological distortion and to stand as a conduit for what the Hebraic Kabbalah is telling us and informing us, which is to clear away any of our distortions, our self-hatred, our compulsions, the negative thought forms, the mind control, all of those things that actually keep us from standing in the flow of life in the present moment now. And so what I've really gotten so much from your teaching is to be standing in our original energetic blueprint as a human being, and you've given us tools and skills to awaken, to open, to continue to open and awaken to higher levels, more expanded levels of consciousness. and also to be more of a conduit for spirit onto the earth plane. And that was what inspired me as I was teaching Kabbalah. As a woman, I wanted to find a more embodied way to teach it. And so I created these sacred robes. So there originally are 33 robes that fit on the tree of life, the 11 Sephirot and the 22 pathways. And so for me, creating the sacred robes with these energetic spiritual figures on them was a way for people to step in, literally put on the robe and step into the energy, so that you can get a direct transmission from each of the fruits of the tree of life. So it's been just such a wonderful thing that we can collaborate together and to share these teachings with more people.
Yeah, it truly is. For my part, as you brought it up, it's I've been specifically directed to teach from Hebrew, and so I was directed very specifically to go and study Hebrew at a particular university in the UK, and to study with particular teachers who could bring that out. And really, because we're now in a time where the Hebrew letters are available to be, how can I put it, to be reconnected with as a communion, in a way that has been distorted or lost for the last 2,500 years, except in very sort of secret, small groups, Kabbalistic groups that have sprung up in different places around the Middle East and the Mediterranean, and then spread over the globe. So, yeah, now is a time for us to re-examine the flowering of this.
Yeah, and that reminds me to say that, I grew up in a Jewish household and was not taught Hebrew. So, I mean, in a way, it was really good for me that we weren't religious Jews, because I was given a lot of freedom, and I didn't go through any kind of conditioning or, mind control around that. So I just want to say to students who might feel intimidated to approach Hebrew, that I kind of felt that myself. And so what you bring is a real invitation to anybody who wants to study, to not be intimidated, to be able to approach Hebrew no matter what religious tradition you come from. You teach it as a universal system for anyone who wants to awaken. And so I want to really encourage people who may feel, oh, I have to be Jewish, or I have to be this or that, or a scholar. You don't. And really, you just have to be a curious, seeking human that wants to continue to awaken. So I want to say that to students who are interested in studying this, to just jump in, and you can be anybody from any tradition or background. The other thing is that what you've brought alive to me, Steve, is that Hebrew is a living language. It has a living blueprint. And it's a blueprint for how to awaken as a human. And it doesn't have anything to do with religion. And I think that's really important to emphasize.
Very important. And thank you for putting that so succinctly. What we're looking at are hieroglyphic meditations. So, and we are meant to embody them, and it's a very sensual experience of connecting with your body, with life, with the beauty of being sensually alive, creative sexuality, all of these things. And so if you have no knowledge of Hebrew, you're actually at an advantage. There's no baggage with that, and it's the complete opposite of being intellectual or intellectualizing. It is really that we're engaging through the 22 symbols of the Hebrew Aleph Bet with the energies. that the letters symbolize within us and within all things that we see around us
Yeah.
and call the outer world. So it's very much a communion.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I see them also as that when, as you've taught us to understand what each of the letters means, it opens up portals and doorways inside of myself.
yeah,
So it actually gives me more access to spirit, gives me more access to looking deeper into my own psyche, um, gives me access to feeling into the divine energy. So it's like they're codes or a key. Like I often think of them as a
yeah.
key that's going into certain portals and opening up new
Mm.
doorways of understanding. And it's really opened up my whole system, my physical system,
Yeah,
my psychological, my spiritual system, energy system, so that I can actually, like you said, receive
mm,
more. So I've found it to be such an opening
yeah.
process to study with you.
Yeah, as you say, they're sometimes called keys, they're sometimes called doorways or portals or bridges or gateways. They are um, openings into and out of ourselves, our inner world, our spirit, the divine essence within each human being. And as we discover this, then we are connecting with the divine essence in everything. Um, and it naturally brings about an enlivening of pleasure and joy of being alive, I would say.
Mhm. And one of the things that you and I have discussed is uh, giving people the opportunity to clear away any distortions or old belief systems they have around certain Bible stories, certain names of people. And so, we really wanted to give people an opportunity to reframe the biblical stories into a much deeper, broader meaning, because people get so stuck even on the Genesis story. They get stuck on the Garden of Eden story because so many of those stories have been distorted,
Yeah,
either weighted on patriarchal distortions or, I mean, people interpret those, we've been left to interpret those stories in such a bizarre kind of distorted way.
yeah,
And we really wanted to actively help people to clear away those old beliefs and old paradigms and to get them ready to receive what the original paradigm and the original stories were all about. And for me, that creates then the living mythology, the living stories that are our human divine birthright. And we've been cut off from our birthright because the stories have been distorted. So I so appreciate the way we're opening back up the stories so that people can enter into a living mythology rather than a dead mythology.
totally. Yeah, that's very well put. Um, yeah, a mythology is a way of carrying an oral tradition from one generation to the next. The writings that we look at are always secondary, which the idea being that when you're visualizing and forming a relationship with the Hebrew letters, you can feel them as energies within yourself and within those things and people and creatures that you come into contact with and that you meet. So we are being asked to meet life consciously.
Mm.
And the Hebrew Aleph Bet is actually a very simple way of explaining that we are multidimensional beings in a multidimensional universe.
Right. We've been taught a paradigm that is so flat. And,
Yes.
and this paradigm, our birthright paradigm, let's say, is that we are multidimensional creatures, and
Yeah.
that knowing that we have the ability to wake up now in the present moment and be the divine humans that we are creates a very different personal internal structure, social structures. We can create a world that is much more peaceful and equal, and that's why I think we're doing this at such an important time, because the old paradigm really is no longer working. It's being completely dismantled. And what we're both offering to our students is another way and another paradigm that we can step into that's very life-giving and can indeed create the world that we all desire.
Yeah, yeah, yes, indeed. So one of the premises of the Hebrew is that creation is never a past event. It's not something that we are waiting for in the future. It is here now. The spiritual dimension is within you here now, and the divine, whether we call that Elohim or Yahweh Elohim, the divine presence is here now within you. And so when we step into that presence and breathe that presence into the world, then we are literally becoming the co-creative paradigm for the new to arise. The new is not a reformation of old patterns, it is something that is new and of now.
Well, and this empowers us to be co-creators and to take responsibility that we're every moment to moment creating this world that we desire to live in. So it really, really brings the responsibility and power back inside the self to be the person who says, I'm going to stay awake. I am awake. I'm communing and connecting with you. I'm communing and connecting with nature, with the stars, with the whole ecosystem. And this is the paradigm that we're offering people to step into. So I just so appreciate you, Steve, and all the work that I know you've done to get to this point. And I'm so grateful that you're sharing all your knowledge with the world now. So it's been a great collaboration, and I'm excited to do more.
Yes, it's absolutely mutual. I'm so glad that we're working together, and we've spent time while we've been in groups together and then other parts of the world. So yeah, it's as you say, a wonderful opportunity now for us to take this forward into the future in a way that the teachings were originally meant to be taught.
Well put. Well, thank you so much. And I'm excited to do more. So thanks, Steve.
Okay, we will see you all soon.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks.